We are in the Champ Select. Here we go. Finally, things underway. We'll have you in a second. We'll just dictate it to you, studio, for how things are going.
Okay.
Make sure you get your pen and paper to write this down, Kermit the Frog, because we're going to have picks and bans going out on the window for you in just a second. But immediately, we do see TSM Evo banning out Morgana, and now Curse hesitating a little bit, decides to ban out Alistar. These picks and bans not going quite as quickly as they did in game number 1. And there's the Karthus ban coming out from TSM Evo, not coming out from Curse this game.
Yeah, no, it is a really sound ban. We had talked about it earlier. The Urgot ban as well, just all around kind of strong champions. But conspicuously no TF so far, so we'll see if that comes around or not.
And it's odd to see TSM ban out Karthus just because Kennick, he's a really good Karthus. Then again, he's got a lot of mid options, so he's not exactly shutting himself down with that ban.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of it depends on what they're trying to play. And if they're trying to play, like the last game, they had a pretty short-range comp. And a short-range comp against Karthus, it's kind of a struggle. So, you know, if that's what they're trying to look for, again, that makes sense. And actually, they're banning out Malphite this time. So I was kind of curious. Malphite's usually a banned champion, but now that they don't have the first pick, Malphite is a champion. You wouldn't tend to first pick Malphite, but I mean, you could. But second or third pick, definitely you could grab. So now, you know, they can see what's available, what's still on the board, and they can grab.
Definitely. They actually picked Malphite last time. Didn't work out for them as an AP mid-champ, and Shen is the last ban. So you have Morgana, Karthus, and Malphite being banned out from TSM Evo. Alistar, Urgot, and Shen being banned out from Curse, and immediately the float onto Twisted Fate. TSM Evo might pick that up for Kennick.
Oh, and the TF. Oh, no, not first picking TF. That would have been cool. I was hoping for it. But Nautilus with the first pick, so definitely a strong all-around pick. Soraka is still available. Would kind of make sense. You don't usually want to see a Soraka on the same team as a Nautilus, so you just get this super tanky team and then have great backline damage. So we'll see. They could go with like a Corki Soraka and just pick their bot lane right off the bat.
We're going to have to see. They do have first pick, and Westray's hovering over that Cho'Gath again. It was very powerful out of the jungle. I believe St. Vicious won 3-1-7 last game on jungle Cho'Gath,
yeah.
So we could potentially see him being picked up again. I'm kind of hoping they decide to change Cho'Gath to Hecarim, though, because we got to see a little St. Vicious jungle Hecarim, one of the games we previously cast. I think that was you and me, Studio. Don't know. All the games kind of meshed together at this point, but nope. They're picking up their range carry character and still flirting over that Cho'Gath. I guess they liked it before. Now they're switching around to Soraka. Like you said, picking half of their bottom lane, but they really kind of want to secure that Cho'Gath pick and make sure that TSM Evo doesn't deny it from them. Very interesting.
I don't know if it's the denial as much as how safe they feel with it, because frankly, St. Vicious was just on point with that. Every rupture was at least threatening. Some of them may have not landed, but there was some zoning going out with it. So he's got that character just in a really good lockdown right now. So picking that lane, not surprising. They always have the option to go ahead, change their carry as the bot lane is chosen for Evo.
Yeah, that's true. And you don't see Cho'Gath and think immediately to yourself, oh, here's a counter. I mean, he's just a safe control jungler. Or at least that's what we saw last game. He's going to farm. He's going to do his thing. So, I don't know, we'll kind of see how that works. I realize this is the first time I've cast with you, also Studio. So, not just the first TriCast, but also the first cast with you. I'm excited for it. And actually, Draven and a Blitzcrank, maybe Leona, but a really nice kill bot lane looking for TSM Evo. And that Draven pick again, after Moog going to work in that previous game.
Is Draven Crank a fit phrase?
If it isn't, it is now. Draven Crank. Unfortunately, they're switching back to Leona, so
okay.
Dravona, or I don't know. Not quite as exciting.
Well, still, it's Leona. Leona's also kick-ass, so it works.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. Leona is my favorite champion in the game, and having Nat Nguyen play Leona is a very magical experience to watch. He is so aggressive, but so smart about his aggression, and combined with the fact that Aphromoo had so much harass on the bottom lane before, they may not have a Taric with basically the sustain that he had last game, even though Taric's heal isn't the best heal in the world on a support character. They had a little bit of sustain, but now they have a Leona that's going to be able to go in there and soak up a lot more damage than the Taric could. That Draven could be able to harass as well as he did last game. They're looking for kills this game. They're not looking to play for the harass and play for the later stage of the game. They're looking for kills early on Curse's bottom lane.
Well, and we'd already seen how strong the Draven pick was and how, early levels Draven beats almost anyone. But coupled with Leona, that's a lot of killing potential. And once they hit 6 in particular, level 2, there's definitely going to be a lot of kill potential. But then once they hit 6 on, it's going to be really dangerous for Soraka in the bottom lane, because you hit an ult on Soraka and it allows you that range initiation. There's nothing that she can do about it. Like, you can die repeatedly as Soraka against a Leona lane if you're not careful.
They're going to have about 3.5 to 4 seconds of lockdown with Leona's Q, Leona's ultimate, Draven's knockback, and of course that little quick bit of CC from Leona's Zenith Blade as it closes distance. So they can kill Soraka. They can kill really anybody in that short little time span, even with the Soraka armor bonus.
Oh, do it. Do it, Connect. I believe in you. We all believe it. If we all believe hard enough, everyone in chat, this is like Angels in the outfield for Champ Select. If everyone believes and waves your arms around, then we'll see the TF pick along with the Draven. And I don't know, it would just be a really cool, aggressive team for them. But right now, Curse, they have a really tanky team, and the Rise damage late game, couple that with the fact that you have the armor buff and the heals from Soraka, should be really nice. And it's a lot of single target burst as well.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We did actually forget to mention Ezreal and Rise being picked up as the choices for Curse, as we do see TSM Evo is going to finish up their lineup with a Aurelia, and Twisted Fate is locked in. Immediately, though, Curse is going to hover over Pantheon. Oh, nope, they're just trolling me. So very interestingly enough, like you said, Curse going for, a very tanky kind of team once again. Problem is, they have Ezreal, who he did a lot of damage once he was able to get farm and get out of that harassment from the bottom lane. They have Rise, a very tanky champion that can dish out lots of pain towards the later stages of the game. Cho'Gath get really beefy, and he was unable to be killed towards the end of the game. And now, taking a look at Evo's lineup, with that Leona and Draven in the bottom lane, like I said, they're not playing for the long game. They're not playing to zone out like they did with the Taric. They're playing for kills. They have Nautilus out of the jungle, who has so much crowd... excuse me.
Excuse me, I just became a man.
I'm choking over my own words now. It's just, I don't know, man. But Nautilus out of the jungle with so much crowd control at an early level, devastating. Twisted Fate's ultimate at level 6, being able to really turn around any kind of gank in the bottom lane or top lane, devastating. And then the one champion they have to really carry them over towards like the mid to end stages of the game is Aurelia. And if an Aurelia gets farmed up, that's a very devastating champion. So they really have this composition that looks to be focused on taking out Curse before Curse can really even get into the game.
And I have to say, looking at Evo's lineup and Curse's lineup, Curse, they actually have really good initiation. A Rise Rune Prison into a Cho'Gath Rupture, that's a really good knockup, guaranteed to really land on somebody unless they have a Quicksilver Sash or the most well-timed flash in the world. But the problem is, for Curse, they don't have anything guaranteed. That's a two-person combo right there. By the time they get a Rune Prison, by the time they get a Rupture, that's enough time for a Leona ult to hit, a depth charge to hit. There's so much CC coming out from all of Evo that I don't know if Curse can actually deal with any sort of team fighting until Olaf just gets terrifying. 3 plus 13 equals question mark.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is definitely an issue. The fact that they have this kind of late game team, but I don't know how much early control they can provide. I don't know. We'll have to see. Like Olaf versus, they have pretty even lanes so far. Like, Ezreal and Soraka can play very defensively and will be very safe in that lane. Ezreal can just sit back and farm, and they have the regen advantage. Top lane, Olaf versus Aurelia is a really even matchup. They both have a lot of killing potential, but Aurelia's regen, I don't know, a lot of it just comes down to jungle presence. And last game we saw, St. Vicious was just so devastating. Now consider the Rise snare into the Rupture for the quick ganks there. That's a pretty nice combo. It's kind of like... Maokai, except in reverse and with more damage. So we'll have to see how that works. And then the nice thing with the Cho that we saw was he's not really that buff dependent, so he can pass those blues over to Rise really easily.
No, it is going to be very interesting how that kind of synergy works. That the mid lane does have that lockdown potential, so it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes. One thing we're going to be very interested to see is Cho'Gath going to be trying to gank early, as we did see him go kind of on a more passive pattern, or because of how much aggression that the enemy team has, are you going to see maybe a little bit more aggressive St. Vicious in this one? We did actually talk about how he can use that feast for counter jungling. Last game, didn't see it going down too much. He had a very, very good map presence, was constantly going between lanes post level 6, and he's actually watching over that mid lane a little bit as well, where Malphite was trying to get a little aggressive on Karthus. All of a sudden, Cho'Gath would show up, and Malphite would have to back off or die. So he does have that kind of presence in those lanes, but are we going to see him going on the offensive, counter jungling, and really, really camping down the lanes to try to get those characters that need to reach the end game into the end game?
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering whether or not, I mean, because Nautilus, one of the things you want to do against him is counter jungle, and he's kind of slow. He's not slow, but when he's ganking, it opens up opportunities. And you were saying earlier how Saint, he likes using the Feast to just run in, steal buffs really quickly. So that should be a pretty interesting thing to watch. I'm also wondering mid lane how much control Ryze can have over TF, because TF, he should be pretty safe. He has the range farming. He has more mana than Ryze early game, so he can out sustain him there. And then as the game progresses, he will be able to. I need to just check something real quick. Ryze can't really push him into the tower that effectively, and that's one thing that you usually do against TF, is you want to just push him into the tower to deny those opportunities for him to leave and roam, or if you can get quick kills against him. But Ryze doesn't have that great initiation capability. He doesn't have that great pushing capability to kind of try and shut down TF.
And yeah, that early game TF is most likely not going to die. And that's actually really scary because most of the time you just want to go ahead, shut him down ASAP. But if he does survive, if he does push up the lane, like you said, ganks become available and he doesn't lose much in the whole process. Kennex, have you seen him running the triple GP5 build that we've been seeing out of Twisted Fates lately? Should double check this myself.
Oh, no, I haven't. But, I mean, I've seen most Twisted Fates now going with the fast cages pick. And, I mean, the GP5, see, the issue with the GP5 on Twisted Fate, GP5 or the GP10 or whatever it is, it's always kind of a good build. But Twisted Fate, you need to get that fast damage, and it's the damage for the clearing capabilities, so you can farm and push a little bit easier, and then the damage for the ganks. So I'm kind of surprised to go a triple GP10 on Twisted Fate. Like, I understand the cages for the fast Deathfire's Grasp, but and to get that gold per 10, and it gives you ability power, but the rest seem like they would kind of slow him down a little bit.
It's all trying to reduce the risk with Twisted Fate, because a lot of things can go wrong. Like if TF falls behind and they start team fighting, oh man, TF is not good if he doesn't have like an equal or higher amount of gold, just because he doesn't do enough. And this is kind of saying, all right, I'm going to give up some of my early game ganking potential because I already have so much. If I show up in lane with a gold card with wild cards, usually that should be enough to kill just about anybody. And looking at the lanes, I mean, Soraka is going to be very killable. Olaf, not so much, but he has that potential still.
Yeah, and you're right. Damage isn't going to give Twisted Fate an easier time killing Olaf. It's just it either is going to happen because Olaf is way out of position and is low or something, or it's not. Well, I guess that's happened for anything. It's either going to happen or not. But
yeah. Well, I mean, it's cool though, because like TF, if his ganks go poorly and he doesn't have any GP5s, he can just fall behind. Like you'll see him down like 30 CS, and all of a sudden Ryze will show up in lane, just throw an orb at him, throw another orb at him, put him around a cage, and it's like, oh, I'm dead. What can I do? But if he has those GP5s, he can at least survive for a bit in lane just because of the Heart of Gold and that good regeneration. And it's playing safe, and that's kind of what League of Legends tends to revolve in. Like there'll be a risk, and then there'll be a way to do that risk very safely, and the game will develop from that. Just so many ganks, by the way, have developed like that. It's actually really cool.
And it's going to be interesting, too, because Twisted Fate is going to be able to get those GP10 items. He also has his passive. So it's not like even if he is going to be going to gank and he is going to need the extra gold, maybe falling behind in farm in lane, or needs a way to keep up with the rest of the gold for team fights, if he's going to be in lane farming at all, he's naturally going to have some sort of gold advantage. So the GP10 items are only going to add on to this. Twisted Fate, of course, is passive, granting 2 extra gold per minion kill or per kill in general. It's just really, really effective, especially because if he farms up to those GP10s quicker than the opposing lane person, that just gives him a little bit more leeway for his gank. So if they fail, and if he goes back into lane, he starts getting out harassed by the middle champion, he's technically not going to be falling behind in gold anytime soon.
Yep. One thing that I always think is kind of interesting is TF against like AoE teams and teams that have really hard initiation, he can really struggle in fights a lot, and that you kind of look at TF as really strong outside of fights, but then in fights he's kind of weak. But late game, and as the game progresses, having that spammable stun and having that those long range nukes, he's actually really effective. And having both Nautilus and Leona and Aurelia as all these frontline tanks with lots of CC, and the fact that Curse doesn't really have a good means of engaging on the backline outside of Olaf. Olaf is, his primary focus is the fact that he can get into the backline and disrupt both TF and Draven. But generally speaking, he's both him and Draven are going to be safe in the backline, can spam out that ranged damage, and he doesn't have to worry so much about his short range as opposed to against like other comps.
I mean, like TF Theory is funny because there's so many different things about him, just because he is the AP dependent on auto attacks. So like for runes and masteries, Kenneth is actually running 21 utility. That's A for the gold, and B just for the move speed and spell vamp. Spell vamp will help in lane, and move speed, he also has move speed quintessences. He wants to move really fast. Some TFs even go boots 3, and this is just because he wants to hit and run. He doesn't have any sort of like longevity in a fight. He uses pick a card, he uses wild cards, and he has to back off and then show up a few seconds later. And it's really cool to see the runes and masteries come out like this. This is not a standard rune page where it's like 15 AP, or 8 magic penetration, the armor, and the magic resist, or AP per level. It's just outright, I want to move fast, I want to stay mobile, this is how I stay alive.
Yeah, so I mean, no magic resist, no armor or anything. He's just kind of like, if I get caught, then I messed up, and I'm gonna pay the price for it. So, but we'll keep him on the back line pretty safe. So that'll be kind of interesting whether or not he can keep away from Olaf from that. And I don't know, Ezreal's always kind of an interesting AD as well, because he's can move so much in like either direction. Like he's short ranged as an AD, but he has so much damage that when you have small fights and when you have cleanup fights, Ezreal can be one of the strongest ADs in the game because of his mobility and survivability and whatnot, and his single target focus. But then when you have nasty AoE fights and when you have the enemy engaging on you, maybe he struggles a little bit because he can't get the same auto attacks as a standard ranged AD would be able to.
It's actually just kind of interesting. These are both characters that they are not traditional ADs. Ezreal, he's a bit different just how he works because of Mystic Shot. The same with Twisted Fate. Overall, just both these compositions kind of going with very offbeat from what's traditional. Even Ryze. Ryze is a common mid pick, but he is not a traditional mid pick just because he relies a lot more on mana and cooldown rather than ability power. And just across the board, the exception being, I guess, Soraka, Olaf, and Aurelia, and I guess even Nautilus, everything else is just kind of off from what we used to see. And this is not weird, it's just how much the game has evolved. This is not a team we would have seen a year ago, barring champions that weren't in the game back then. This is what the game has become. There are options now. We don't have to go for sustain, we don't have to go for traditional AP. We just kind of use what works, and that's actually really cool.
I was actually talking about this a little bit before. We're seeing a lot more teams experiment with new champions. We're seeing champions that necessarily, like you said, like a year or so ago, we didn't see them being played at all and didn't exactly expect them to pop out at all. We saw, I was talking with Baron before, the same kind of TSM comp every tournament with a Kayle, a Karthus, a Soraka, and that's all we've been seeing. Between the games today and yesterday, we started to see a lot of different champions that, a lot of different summoners will be like, hey, Cho'Gath in the jungle? I love Cho'Gath. That's really cool. I get to see him being played in a high-ranked match. Some people really like Ryze. He's generally regarded, like you said, he's a common choice because he's a pretty safe choice, but he's unique to his role because of the way he does things. Same thing with Draven, same thing with Ezreal, same thing with Twisted Fate. We just see these characters that have this uniqueness that they bring to a role that make the standard, make them kind of outclass the standard choices in certain ways, especially when combined with different champions. We're going to have to see how both teams really use these champions to effectiveness.
Yeah, and in the meanwhile, we have the quick ward. Just real quick, whose is that coming through? I'm just curious if that's going to be an ongoing thing.
That's Optimus Tom.
The dog?
Barker.
Okay. Well, we have the quick ward from TSM Evo. They throw it up by the red, and actually the same thing going down from Curse. So they don't want to allow that quick invade, which is kind of interesting. I usually don't expect to see a Nautilus invade, but we actually saw it earlier today in one of the games. Nautilus going against Nocturne, actually. It was... who was it? I can't remember. But the rest of their team, they ran up to the blue to kind of stall them for a little bit, and Nautilus ran in for the quick red steal against a Nocturne, who you would normally expect to have that quick counter jungling advantage.
It's just kind of cool to do that. It just catches people off guard, and a lot of this game is just kind of saying, surprise, I'm doing something different.
Yeah, we see currently Nat Nguyen and Aphromoo setting up to take the mini golems down there. No one going to disrupt them at all, so they should be safe. And St. Vicious taking the wolves, so Cop and Elements, they won't be able to take their wolves. So as a result, not only do they have this really aggressive lane that they expect to win, at early levels, but they're also going to hit level 2 first, which is always cool to have on the kill bot lane. It just gives you a lot of opportunities. So Elements probably going to need to drop down a quick ward in the bush and then just play really defensively early on.
We're going to have to see how that does work out. They do, of course, have the sustain in the bottom lane, so naturally they're going to be put into a more defensive posture. And it worked out for them last game. because even though they were being harassed upon, they were just able to generate an advantage and being defensive. So probably going to see a very similar playstyle from Elements and Cops as the last game. Elements does actually start with the basic 3 wards, a health potion, and a fairy charm. And already putting a ward down on the brush you normally don't see it on, and he finds a wild net and wins. So.
Saint coming in, gets the rupture onto Kenneth. Can we get the follow-up? Actually, only the Q from Nijaki, but still a lot of damage. And Nat Nguyen actually jumping onto Cop. They have the quick damage from Aphromoo and just really devastating in that bottom lane. Cop already really far behind, and that's how much damage we had in the last game too, that quick harass from Draven. All right, guys, this isn't going to work unless we're, like, rude and just talking over each other. So I'll keep going for now. But for this to work, we need to just, you know, be Korean commentators and constantly shouting over each other. In the meantime, we have St. Vicious coming up to take his red, getting some nice jungling speed. And if he gets up to the top lane soon, they had a, you know, they have an idea of where he is. They passed by the ward, but he's definitely going to be putting some pressure onto Aurelia with the threat of those quick ganks.
Yeah, and actually gonna see him just taking that red buff as soon as the smite came up. Smite came up as soon as the red buff was in a little bit of range here, so almost looking like it's calculated. But he is gonna want to try to deny this Twisted Fate here, motioning over towards the brush in mid lane once again. Nijaki now does have his Rune Prison. They saw how it worked out effectively the first time. So Twisted Fate, though, he has Ghost and Flash on him right now. He's gonna be a very, very hard target to kill, and he's actually playing extremely passively. So no go for St. Vicious right there. But is he gonna check the bush? He does find a wild St. Vicious in the bush. Silence goes down. Rupture is going to miss this. It is going to be able to get out of there.
I don't know actually how I can interject this. I'm going to slip out of here because they didn't set it to friends list, so I can't actually watch the game. So
sorry, studio. Sad studio. Unfortunately, we don't get the TriCast. We'll try and figure it out for the next one. But yeah, it was a pleasure talking with you, Olaf. In the meantime, getting some nice harass on the Wings of Death, pushing him into the tower, so Wings will be able to farm underneath the turret. And in the meantime, Nautilus actually making his way up, unstoppable with the engage from Wings of Death. He has the double buff, so he should get a lot of damage here. Westrace has to watch out, but very quickly, it doesn't even matter. They get the first blood, Wings of Death taking him down.
Very uncharacteristic of Westrace. We talked about last game how he was constantly pushing off as Olaf and then backed off with a recall to be just super, super safe. No ward coverage whatsoever. Westrace, like I said, really, really uncharacteristic of him. Going so far, wound up paying the price for it the one time we saw him do it.
Yeah, and at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, you kind of have to expect those ganks to come. He was pushing up to the lane, just trying to eke out that last bit of experience as the minions were dying to the turret. But really need to get back, get a ward. We'll see how that affects him going on. In the meantime, Nautilus setting up for Nijaki. There's the stun and connect as well. The hook back, and then the quick stun along with the snare gets some quick damage. Unfortunately, he's snared as well, and St. Vicious coming in, gets some damage on the Unstoppable. Can't quite engage on connect, so he will be okay.
Yeah, it was really, really scary for Nijaki, but like you said, by snaring the Twisted Fate there, Kendick was not able to really go in and follow up right there. So it was a very, very nice escape there, and of course, St. Vicious coming in at the end there to seal the deal. So Nijaki escaping with his life for this time, but that just is going to show how deadly that Nautilus can be out of the jungle. The crowd control monster, they're going to have to be very, very careful, and St. Vicious, like you said, going to have to be on top of this top lane and middle lane if he really wants them to carry themselves into the mid to late game.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Aphromoo and Nat Nguyen pushing into the bot tower. And that's actually probably something we'll see for a while now. They'll just constantly... I mean, this is partially because of the defensive nature of the Soraka Ezreal lane right now. But they'll probably start to just constantly push them underneath this tower. And actually, Kenneth coming down so they can tower dive this. He's going to set up the stun. He has it. And then Nat Nguyen going to start off the silence from Soraka. But they have so much burst damage. Elements does go down. And Aphromoo actually tanking it along with the exhaust. Has to get out of there. Nat Nguyen is pretty low. But Elements is safe. Did get out of there. And Cop in the meantime, jumping over, trying to get the kill. One more auto attack. He does grab it. So really nice turnaround from Cop.
Yeah, that was very, very backfire there for TSM Evo. I don't exactly know if they didn't expect Aphromoo to draw tower aggro, but because of the harassment, because of Draven's passive, taking that damage over time when he hits one of the spinning axes, it looked like the tower just immediately targeted Draven right there, and they did not want that to happen. They wanted Nat to tank the tower just for a little bit longer so they could get that kill onto Soraka, but Soraka's heal kit was just way too much for them. But now we see over here on the top lane, St. Vicious waiting the Wings for a gank. Wings of Death buys the bait, goes in there on Olaf. Silence goes off. There's been no Rupture thrown by St. Vicious yet, so they are going to try to wait for this one. There's the Undertow slow. Rupture is going to land. Wings of Death taking a lot of damage right here, but still not going down very, very easily. Gonna back off, though, because they notice Unstoppable is coming up to help there. So they could have potentially chased down, but there was a Nautilus and a Twisted Fate coming up, so a very wise decision to back off there from Curse.
Yeah, and Wings with the fast phage, he was just so tanky at that point, they couldn't quite do enough damage to him, and so they were just walking falling right into a trap, new to back off because they're just screwing themselves. Unstoppable coming here actually just smites the blue, so he's able to get out of there. And then in the meantime, Nat Nguyen coming again, and they have the lane kind of zoned for a second here because of the huge wave pushing, so they can put some pressure onto Ezreal and Soraka. And I don't know, we'll see if they have any more kind of aggressive plays with TF, particularly now that TF's level 6. But the Soraka play last time from Elements, just, you know, intuitively knowing, all right, Leona's starting to make a move towards me, quick throw off the silence. Like, he hadn't done anything yet, he hadn't, you know, pulled in, but just really, you know, disrupting that kind of coordination was really nice.
Yeah, it was really clutch play there from Elements on Soraka, but we are going to see Nijaki taking his own blue buff. Twisted Fate in the meantime has his own blue buff. So the mid lanes now, this is going to be a point of contention. Both these sides having ganking and keeping an eye on the middle lane, but now that their AP mids have the blue buff, each one is going to try to farm up. Ryze, of course, is going to love having all the extra mana regeneration to spam all his spells. Twisted Fate's going to love it as well, but both of these two champions are going to want to kill each other, so they're the only one that advantage. Potentially going to have a lot of jungle action around here as well.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how that works. In the meantime, Nat Nguyen using this killing presence to zone out Ezreal right now, doing a really nice job controlling that bush. So, you know, we'll see how that kind of continues work. Ezreal should be fine, though. Ezreal's generally really safe in the lane. And Saint, not quite able to get the same presence as last game, but, you know, still doing his thing. He's farming pretty effectively and keeping up. He has the quick gold pretend, the Philosopher's Stone, so that'll work out. And Nautilus, in the meantime, setting up in this top lane in case Westrice, they can bait it out with wings.
Yeah, we could potentially see a lane gank coming here from Unstoppable. He's just kind of dirtling around by the tower right now. Going back to St. Vicious, he is not getting the same robust start he had last game, but he is still technically ahead in CS. He has 46 and Nautilus is 37, so he's pretty much on par to a very good start. Picking up the Ruby Crystal, so he's probably going to be getting a harder gold there. Has a couple wards to help out with vision all around the map. The one thing is TSM Evo's being a little more persistent in the enemy jungle. We did see St. Vicious was standing around when Nautilus came in and actually smote the big Wraith away from him, so there was actually a little bit more counter jungling presence than we had last game. They just don't have the dominant jungle presence they did in game 1, but still St. Vicious doing a pretty good job up throughout the middle. That top gank did unfortunately fizzle. Westrice learned his lesson and knew that he had to go back after pushing out a little bit too far, so there is no potential gank threat up there. But one thing I want to bring up actually from this bottom lane, the one thing that a lot of people don't realize is if you have an aggressive bottom lane, sometimes the threat of aggression is just enough. And that is what we're seeing constantly. Nat Nguyen just goes into a bush, and Cop and Elements immediately pull back towards the tower. They don't want to get caught whatsoever.
Yeah, and I mean, that is something that we're seeing so far, and they have really nice lane control. We'll see if that transitions into a farm advantage. Their team is a little bit more standard than the previous game. You know, having the Aurelia top lane will definitely can work to their advantage. If Aurelia can continue to farm successfully, then Aurelia late game is just an absolute monster. And again, it's like a joke that, you know, you see someone like Saint has such a successful game the previous game. You don't expect to get off kills left and right all the time. TF actually coming in on this bottom lane. He gets the port right underneath the tower. The Leona ultimate as well, and really quickly they burst her down. Cop is pretty low as well. He has to get out of there with the exhaust. TF goes down to Cop along with that ignite damage, and Aphromoo in pursuit tries to get off some nice damage. We'll have to back out of there. No one in return, so TSM Evo will be fine, but Connect did go down just for the supports. That's kind of, you know, not the best exchange for them.
It's not the best exchange, but it definitely went better than their first tower dive attempt. We're going to have to be very, very careful, though. Nijaki decided he wanted to come in from mid lane, actually putting a ward down the Tribush, spots Nautilus. He could have just been charging headfirst into another death in favor of TSM Evo, so wise decision to back off. But like I said, worked out a lot better than their first tower dive. If Twisted Fate got out of there, that was definitely a plus for TSM Evo. We see once again Nat Nguyen being a little more aggressive. Ezreal is going to burn the Arcane Shift to get out of there.
Nijaki.
Oh, he's coming in. Is he going to get the Rune Prison up? No, actually decides to go with the Q first, then the Rune Prison down on the Nat Nguyen. A lot of damage coming out between him and Ezreal. Nijaki will pick up the kill. Is extremely low, but still continuing to harass down Aphromoo. There's a flash and another Rune Prison overloads. Double kill being picked up by Nijaki, but now Unstoppable coming out of the jungle. Very, very dangerous here. Nijaki is going to be able to get out of the way. Depth charge going off on Cop. Twisted Fate is coming here, but now Soraka is here to heal up a little bit. Rune Prison goes down. Damage from Nijaki. Nijaki taking a lot of damage here on the bottom line, but so is Twisted Fate and Nautilus. Both extremely low. Cop is being healed up by Soraka. He is going to pick up a kill. That is a killing spree for him now on Nautilus.
Oh, the flash and the silence.
Oh,
Cop just, he was short on mana.
Oh no, ooh, but St. Vicious out of the jungle, flashing. The roar does not pick up the kill on Kennick, but he is very tanky. He could potentially cower dive this, and Ezreal snipes him with the ultimate, backing Twisted Fate into a corner there.
Yeah, really awesome play all around from Curse, and the flash from Elements, he got the silence off, thinking that the Arcane Shift into the Mystic Shot for Kopp would be enough to take him down, but Kopp was just barely short on mana for the Mystic Shot, so he couldn't finish him off originally, but they were able to pull it around, and I was a little bit surprised when it originally happened that Unstoppable, he didn't use his ultimate on Ryze. Like, I don't know if he recognized that Ryze was so low. I'm going to go up real quick. I'm doing like a mega rewind. This is like a mile back. They got the dragon, but Wings of Death chasing down Westeros, just having that kill potential as the fight was going down, along with the Ignite really quickly bursting him down, gets that kill. So really nice play. And then the really nice play from Curse, grabbing that dragon and taking a nice little gold lead right in the beginning.
Yeah, about a 2,500 gold lead right now, 6 kills to 3 in favor of Curse. You know, one thing is, TSM Evo's been trying to get aggressive on them, especially with that bottom lane. They are eventually going to take down this tower right now, so they do take that down and have a little bit more of a gold disparity levelage there. But they are trying to be aggressive on Curse, and Curse is constantly just responding. We had the tower dive. We thought it was a really good situation. They lost Twisted Fate for that one. Backing up, Nijaki comes from the mid lane. They think that they're kind of pushing away with Nautilus, but Nijaki really doesn't bite, winds up going back in, and then all of a sudden Curse gets aggressive on TSM Evo. So when Evo's been getting aggressive, they've been trying to pick up kills and not necessarily always working out for them. When Curse gets aggressive on Evo, Evo's like, wait, hold on a second, we're supposed to be getting aggressive on you, and they kind of fumble around a little bit. So if Curse continues to pour the aggression onto that bot lane there, we could see it fall apart for Evo.
Yeah, and Unstoppable with the Oracles, which is definitely what you want to see. When you have an aggressive jungler, you have an aggressive team, you need that map control. In the meantime, they're pushing mid really hard. Aphromoo and Kinnick, very quickly they can take it down. It is very low, so the next kind of push that they want to do, they should be able to pick that up. But as a result, Kopp and Elements, they're safe in the bottom lane. They get to farm up. They get to, you know, put some pressure on that tower as well.
Yeah, and once again, actually, Draven has a very, very decent creep advantage from the bottom lane, just continuing to push down, knocking the tower down, and keeping them pressed against it. Top lane, though, Westeros has to burn an ultimate in order to get away from Wings of Death right here. So that Aurelia pick doing work against Olaf in the top lane.
Yeah, Wings of Death, I mean, he was in control last game and in control this game as well. And so you kind of have to question how much of it is the Jace and how much of it is just Wings of Death being a man. So that tower is very low, but he's actually going to leave it up so that he doesn't have to push to the second turret. If you were to take that down, then all of a sudden Olaf, oh, nope, never mind. So he walks up and takes it, but waiting a second so that it could kill some of the minions and deny some of that experience, you know, from Westeros.
And if you have an advantage, you always just want to keep trying to get even further ahead. So denying every single little bit of experience for Olaf to try to come back from that lane, a very good idea. So Aurelia will be taking down the tower and getting the bonus goal, though, giving it to her entire team, who could possibly use it. That's going to only catapult Draven even further ahead from his CS lead. But Ezreal, what kills, Aurelia actually going to be able to roam around now, comes in from that top lane. Nice gold card over the wall because of the wards and everything. Nijaki, though, look at the burst damage as St. Vicious finishes them off from the jungle. Nijaki getting really low, but Olaf from the top lane gonna silence that Aurelia. Draven does come up and finish on the rise right there, but now Westbrook getting extremely, extremely low. Unstoppable pick up a kill there. Ezreal ultimate comes down from the bottom lane. That's going to deal a decent amount of damage.
Oh, Ezreal's going to be able to clean up.
St. Vicious is just not dying either, which is letting Kopp and Elements come all the way from the bottom lane to really turn this around. Unstoppable does a really great job of distracting the whole team, but I don't know, they're going to pay for this with an Oracle's Elixir down. So very nice engagement there for Curses. I think overall it was is that a 3 for 2? I think it's a 3 for 2 in their favor.
Yeah, it was a 3 for 2, and they thought that they could take advantage of you know, Curse. They know, all right, we have a really aggressive team. We want to pick up kills right now. And just kind of forcing it in there wasn't really the best situation for them. They were just hoping to catch Curse off guard. Unfortunately, St. Vicious was right there. You know, he had enough time because of the small chase on Ryze to get into play. And so TF porting right into the Rupture. And St. Vicious with a nice placement right on top of the TF port. And then very quickly they're able to burst him down and win that fight very easily. Kopp, I'm surprised he wasn't able to clean up more, because that's a serious issue for Elements, for Ezreal. Just the fact that you can win those long, protracted fights so easily, and those disorganized fights, and chase people down. In the meantime, they're able to take down this mid tower very easily. Nautilus and Leona here, but can't really get an engage.
No, and despite that being the first tower for Curse, they have a quite decisive gold lead for 16 minutes into the game right now. 25.5k to 22.6k. 9 kills to 5 being a big part of that, and of course the Dragon that they were able to pick up a little bit earlier too, factoring into this. So even though, like you said, TSM Evo trying to get aggressive, trying to make things happen, Curse has just been in pretty much phenomenal position every single time it happens. Even if Evo's able to pick up a kill, Curse is just, like you said in the champion select, picking very tanky champions. Rise having picked up a Banshee's Veil early. How often do you see an early Banshee Veil on Rise? Almost never. You usually see him going for the Catalyst, maybe into a Rod of Ages. We have the Tear of the Goddess, maybe even going for a Frozen Heart before all that, but being able to deny the stun from Twisted Fate, some of the crowd control from Nautilus, it's working wonders for Curse right now. That tanky team composition, even though we're less than 20 minutes into the game, it's already shown to show its strength against its aggressive Evo comp.
Yeah, you're right. And usually the idea for Rise is by going with like the Frozen Heart or something, you're maximizing your damage up, but you're getting more and more damage. And also Banshee's Veil has kind of fallen off in a lot of people's minds just because it's easy to poke down, and TF is no exception. He can just use his ultimate and pop it. But even so, it does keep Nijaki a little bit safer, and he recognizes he doesn't want to allow them, you know, like you said, to take any quick advantages and catch them out of position. In the meantime, TF has started split pushing. He's been down here, down bot for a while, but once he gets a little bit more ability power, he'll be able to clear those waves very easily and then provide that continued map control. And in the meantime, Aurelia is stronger than Olaf top, so they can kind of split push both top and bottom and try and pull up some farm advantages over Curse to pull them back in.
That is the one thing that TSM Evo has. Their individual champions are a lot stronger in certain lanes. Like you said, Twisted Fate has the ability to split push, and he has the ultimate to always save him in a pinch. He also has Ghost and Flash, so he's going to be a very difficult champion to catch. Aurelia, stronger than Olaf in the top lane. If Olaf goes in there to try to defend it, Aurelia is only going to keep pushing, if not just a little bit of a slower rate. So Curse wants to group up, and they want to do things like taking this dragon, taking other global objectives, and establishing a map presence with this kind of Roman squad of 4 people continuously running throughout the map. Even when they go in to gank Nijaki, St. Vicious is not far behind, and Westrace will come in to finish that off. So they're moving as more of a unit to try to counteract the fact that TSM Evo's champions in a straight-up fight.
Wings of Death probably going to get caught out a little bit up top. He tries to go in on Westrice, but now he's got to get out of there because Cho and Rise are in pursuit. But actually the rest of his team coming to cut them off, so they are going to be okay. And Wings of Death actually coming right back onto Westrice once again. He is very low. The TF ultimate goes off so they can get the vision of the team. There's not really a great moment for them to engage, so it will allow them to take this mid lane. Actually, Ezreal with the clear real quick, so they aren't able to grab it. But I don't know, nice stalling potential from Curse.
And that was just like a visual example of what we were just discussing. TSM Evo's champions stronger in a straight-up fight. When Curse gets together as a team, though, Evo's champions just start to diminish their advantage. So it's right there denying the kill from Westrace. That's a very, very nice job from Curse. It was almost a secured kill. Twisted Fate ultimate would have sealed the deal, but then, you know, St. Vicious and everyone else coming out from the jungle made Aurelia turn heel and run, and they wound up saving their teammate, saving a tower in the meantime because of a great ultimate from Kopp there, too.
Yeah, and it's not just you know, the fact that they're weaker when they're in the team fight. It's the fact that Curse is such a strong team. There's not like this massive burst damage. Draven is a sustained damage dealer. He's not a burst AD. Aurelia is a tanky sustained damage dealer. TF has a little bit of burst, but it's not, you know, a lot. He's very cooldown dependent. He needs to get off his little bit of poke and then get out of there. Well, Curse, they're so tanky that it forces TSM Evo, when the fights are going to start happening, it forces TSM Evo into these long exchanges where, you know, maybe they get out of position or something, or it allows Curse to take advantage of, you know, their positioning.
So we're going to have to see, you know, how is TSM Evo really going to have to come back against this one? Like we said, stronger champions, they had the farm potential. If they can drag this out a little bit further and get those champions into a really good team fight potential, we could see, you know, their advantages coming into fruition. Once again, after
Oh, the flash.
Ooh, that was a very nice flash over the wall, actually stopping the silence. Could have stopped the entire initiation as Nijaki was there too. But TSM Evo just really, you know, they are continuously split pushing. They have that potential, but they have, like you said, Draven is a sustained damage dealer. And just like last game, they never really had a full team fight to let him deal what he needed to do for the team. So we're going to have to see, are they going to adjust themselves to try to get in this team fight, or are they going to continue with this Aurelia Twisted Fate off to the side split push?
Yeah, and I think the big thing is that they just need to catch people out of position, that's the big benefit of the split push, is two things. One, you can, well, it's both an offensive and defensive thing as far as pushing towers. It prevents your opponents from being able to push because you're putting pressure all over the map. It allows you to push. But the big thing is that it pulls your opponents out of position. And watching Curse, they're running all over the map constantly. We have the quick engage. Nijaki is going to be safe, though, and St. Vicious coming into the mid-game. He has the Rupture onto Unstoppable, so Unstoppable goes down very quickly, but the Leona ultimate turning it around, and TF trying to get that range damage along with Draven, but they are completely routed, trying to get out of there. The Rupture, fortunately, able to dodge around that. Aftermood trying to turn back, trying to get some damage, but can't quite have the fight that they need, and Unstoppable just exploded in front of them.
Yeah, he looked very stoppable and engaged. He had about 3/4 health, and all of a sudden it was all missing. So there was a lot of damage being dealt on him all at the same time. It almost looked like the Leona ultimate was the one that killed him there, but it was an allied ultimate. It wasn't an enemy ultimate. And that, like you said, the Leona ultimate, even though Unstoppable fell in that fight, it really almost started to turn the fight around for TSM Evo, but it definitely let them disengage with minor casualties right there. But once again, Curse, 4 or 5 people right there in the middle lane, really turning it around on the TSM Evo. I mean, TSM Evo got the tower, but they really paid the price for it in the end.
Yeah, the tower helps because they're pulling Curse out of position constantly. They want to pick people off, and having that map control is huge, but it doesn't matter if you fall too far behind. And, you know, Curse, the further and further it gets into late game, the more and more they're going to start pressuring objectives and just sticking together as a team because they recognize how strong they are. Unstoppable, oh, just barely getting out of there. It still was just a 2v3, probably going to turn into a 4v2 with TF. So Dijak and St. Vicious probably didn't really want to fight that, but even so, they kind of put a little bit of fear into TSM Evo right now.
And the thing is, this is constantly, like you said, making Curse go into sort of a defensive posture, constantly pulling them all over the map right now. One thing that TSM Evo has on Curse is they have enough towers over them. 3 towers to 1. Technically right now, even though Curse is running around with an Oracle's Elixir and taking out wards, TSM Evo with the split push comp, like you said, Aurelia and Twisted Fate, constantly on different sides of the map, pushing and pulling Curse in different directions. They kind of have a little bit of map establishment over them. They have every single front turret down for Curse. So Curse, even though they're moving around the map and denying wards, I don't think I've seen them cross the river for a very, very long time.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. I think they're just it's the fact that they haven't decided they want to group up yet. And a lot of times when you group up, if you can stall a team push, then you can deny a lot of farm. And Curse is kind of scared that they know they need to keep farming. If they group up and then, you know, TF split pushes or something and pushes the waves, they're going to fall behind on farm. So they're trying to, you know, not have to group up yet. But if they can't group up and they can't push past the towers, then very quickly they're going to pull themselves out of position. Right now, though, they're ready to go. It's 24 minutes in, and they are looking to start this fight. They start the Baron. TF is forced to use his ultimate to try and get back to his team, but Curse is in a superior position because they have that Oracles. They can just slowly wear them down and force a bad engage for TSM Evo.
This is something that we've seen Curse do constantly. They always go around this Baron buff. They deny the vision, and they want the enemy team to engage on them. They want to catch them out of position. They have the superior team fight positioning and mechanics, like we mentioned before. They want them to make the wrong move, and there it is. Wings of Death going to hit the Rupture there. Rune Prison goes down on Unstoppable. Damage goes down on Cop. Leona ultimate in the middle of everything right there, but Nat Nguyen is going to go down very quickly from Olaf. Rupture once again catching Aftermove out of position right here. There's a lot of damage going down onto that range carry, but Curse not necessarily wanting to pursue this one. They kill the champion from TSM Evo, and here comes a Baron.
And it's just wild how devastating Cho'Gath is in these fights. And like both games, it's been a while since we've seen Cho'Gath, but if you hit a Rupture, it is just like crippling. It's the ranged initiation against, you know, this team. It's just been devastating. Once you can get that hard engaged, they have the Shurelya's to set themselves up, and here we have it, the Baron kill. They're able to take it down. Sorry, I told Studio that's how I'm announcing Barons from now, and I asked him to do it last night, and I didn't get an opportunity to hear his silky pipes do it for me.
Oh, he definitely did it at least once. So there are a couple Baron kills, and he definitely did it. So I'm more than adjusted to the acoustics of the Baron kill now.
But at this point in time, it's going to be extremely difficult for TSM Evo to stall this out. And split pushing in the defensive nature, it can really work. Wow, Aftermood just destroying this dragon, running around, picking up those axes. In the defensive nature, it can work very well. If you keep all the lanes pushed, then it prevents your team from having, or your opponent from having an opportunity to push down any lanes, so it can stall them a little bit, which is what TSM Evo needs to do right now. They need to stall out the Baron buff. But the issue is that they're dealing with a 5k gold deficit and a team with Baron and Soraka. So the combination of the two of them, TF has some poke, Draven has some poke, but they can't, you know, poke down Curse and wear him down because their regen and heals are just going to be too strong. So Curse can probably just set up right outside one of their towers and just slowly push down on him. I think the reason that they might not would just be the fact that TF can, you know, push down towers or push waves very easily and stall those pushes. And then they also have the fact that maybe they don't want to engage underneath a turret when they have to consider all the CC that Nautilus and Leona have. But they've been crushing all the team fights so far. So I wouldn't be surprised for Curse to get that, you know, just energy, get that, I don't know, arrogance to them and start making their way down mid.
It wouldn't surprise me at all either. Last game, they had a little bit more of a map presence when they got their Baron buff, so they were able to actually just kind of walk between lanes, keep TSM Evo on the defensive pattern, and really push in and take a lane down just one tower and one inhibitor at a time. They don't have that right now. Like you said, the split push from TSM Evo is going to cause Curse to be like, well, do we go in here and try to tower dive on champions, or catch an Aurelia at a position over here like Westrice does? Continue to well done with the undertow and Axis. We actually pick up a kill on Draven as well in the mid lane here, so a lot of more action. Actually picking up a kill on the range carry is going to be devastating for this kind of split push mechanic now, because that means that if they're split pushing, that is that many less champions in the main lane.
I actually just rewound real quick, and Nijaki with the flash in underneath to pick up that kill onto Draven, gets the snare, and then opens up the possibility for Cop. In the meantime, St. Vicious has been chasing Connect for a while, and he has to throw off those stuns to try and help himself. But now St. Vicious is going to ignore him and start, you know, positioning himself. He can transition towards mid, and then they can just slowly push this down. TF does throw off the ultimate. I'm trying to get back to very slowly to the live, and actually they're able to take down the tower very easily and take down the inhibitor as well, and there's nothing that TSM Evo can do to stop them right now.
They lost Draven. They lost the majority of their damage. Ooh, over the wall. What a ward there from Nijak. He's sniping down Twisted Fate. That is another champion
Oh, my
kill.
game froze real quick. My game froze.
Oh, no. You got to watch that. That was brilliant. That was the best ward I've ever seen in an enemy base.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I kind of missed it still. Let me just tab back.
No, you're gonna want to take your shirt off along with your pants at that ward.
Yeah, so they're backing off here, and then Nijaki with the ward picks up the kill and connect right over the wall. Really nice play. That wasn't awkward in the least, but really nice play from Curse so far, just taking control of this game. They have, you know, all of the position advantage. They have that mid turret down, and they can set themselves up in this top, and there's not a lot that TSM Evo can do. They don't want to engage right now because of the advantage they have, and I'm back to live.
All right, yeah, so once again, Curse is taking out members of TSM Evo, denies the split push composition, because TSM Evo is going to lose faster than they can try to split push if they're missing members of their team. So Curse taking out two key members of the team there, able to take two inhibitors for it. Baron buff is still on them, is going to be winding down, just a couple ticks left on that most likely. Yep, just a couple more seconds before Baron buff goes, and there it is. So now that Curse has generated a large advantage from that Baron buff, they're just going to be content to do whatever they want. The game is at their pace right now. If they decide to be aggressive, they could potentially throw it still, because TSM Evo still has some pretty decently strong champions. Aurelia has a Guardian Angel, I believe, too, so that's going to be a bit devastating. So what they're going to want to do, fall back, stay safe, make sure that they deny buffs, deny global objectives, and just continue to farm, buy their items before they wind up going in at full strength again.
Well, in TSM Evo, their late game is still very strong. They have great single target focus. If they can keep themselves alive and just constantly kind of kite in these fights, they can just, you know, pick one person off at a time and then back off. So now it's a 5v4. Pick another person off, it's a 5v3. The issue is that Curse is so strong and so tanky that they don't give TSM Evo these opportunities to kind of kite them, which is what TSM Evo needs to do. They need to pick people off and kite. And Curse can just rush right in, just run at them with Cho'Gath. He's like, hey, you know, I'm big, I'm here. There's not a whole lot that you can do about it. And just that hard initiation, the fact that they're so far ahead that they can just dive straight at Curse or at TSM Evo when they feel like it, is the fact that is the reason why TSM Evo hasn't been able to find these opportunities to come back in.
Yeah, and when you think about it, the champions that they're going to be able to kite, can you kite Ezreal and kill him? Yeah, that's a good target. Can you kite and kill Soraka? Yeah, that's a pretty decent target. Ryze, you're starting to get a little bit trickier, especially now that he has to his name a Banshee's Veil.
Oh, the steal from Ezreal, picking up the blue buff.
Wow, I didn't even notice that one. I don't know if that was on purpose or what. There's a ward over there. So.
He threw the ultimate, so it's on purpose. He knew what he was doing. He picked it up.
But still, all these like tanky champions, he said, Ryze, a little bit more difficult to kill. Olaf, you can't really kite someone that doesn't get disabled. And then Cho'Gath, yeah, he's got a lot of HP. He's not going to be kiting or going down very quickly at all. So even though TSM Evo has the potential to go in there and snipe down targets, they have to be very, very cautious of the fact that these 3 very beefy champions from Curse could still potentially turn these fights around. So they have to be very smart and heads up about their engagements. They are going to have to play from a very defensive posture right now. And unfortunately, Curse is just going to be able to set this up at least until TSM Evo catches someone out of position like they've been doing all game.
Yeah, and so right now, Curse setting up in the bottom lane. They can easily poke down this turret. Ezreal knows he's pretty safe, and St. Vicious might actually force this engage. The Rupture, unfortunately, not hit anyone. Nat Nguyen and Unstoppable just barely coming around the side, and Unstoppable is forcing the fight. Gets the Ezreal ultimate onto Ezreal, but they can't quite get into him. Leona with the backline engage onto Ezreal, but goes down very quickly, and Ezreal gets out of there. Aftermood now being teased a little bit by Westrice. Unstoppable right in the middle of the team. Westrice, unfortunately, Ezreal is able to pick up the kill onto Wings of Death, so they will have to back off. Now it's the inhibitor is going to go down. They weren't able to pick up any kills. This is going to be a game for Curse. They have 3 inhibitors down. Jackie trying to pick up the kill onto Aframu, gets the kill onto Leona, and then Aframu, the last survivor. Can he pick up any kills just for pleasure?
Nah, I don't know about that one. Draven's actually getting taken down on the summoner platform. That's just how powerful Curse is. They march in. They want to actually, it looks like Twisted Pig coming from behind will take up
he got
the
his 1 kill of the
on
game.
Israel.
Yeah, so really, really awesome play by Curse. They take the set 2-0. They will be moving on. And actually, this is the round of 8. Yes, this is the round of 8. So 1 more win, and Curse will be able to continue on. They will make it out of these qualifiers. It's top 4. It's 8 rounds, round of 8 double elimination. So we'll see whether or not Curse can make it in. They've been looking for a signature win for a long time now. They're now starting to practice. You know what it is? It's the Hubert apartment experience. It's the Curse gaming lounge apartment that's allowing them to make these plays.
Not only that, but it's some very interesting champion acquisitions too. Jungle Cho'Gath, no one else has been playing that. St. Vicious deciding that it's a very strong choice, even going with a Wit's End in that battle. That was a very, very interesting build on his Cho'Gath. Wit's End, of course, is going to pair very good with his E, and it was devastating once again. 3 kills, no deaths this time, and 5 assists. Cho'Gath was constantly all over the map, and despite how big and lumbering he looks, St. Vicious made it look like that Cho'Gath was one of the fastest moving champions in the game. He was constantly in top, constantly in middle, constantly turning the enemy ganks around on top of themselves.
Yeah, it was really nice play, and just the fact that TSM Evo, they're like you said, they're trying to make things happen, and just constantly Curse turning it around on them, was able to pick up those kills. And despite the lane advantages, again, it was last game, they had lane disadvantages for Curse. TSM Evo was able to bully them around in both top lane and bottom lane, and again, it didn't matter. Curse was able to power through it. They were able to it didn't matter the fact that Olaf was losing to Aurelia, because Olaf was still farming very well on his own. He was still getting those gold pretends, and then late game in the fights, he did his job. He did exactly what he needed to do. It didn't matter that Draven was walking all over bot lane, because Ezreal, Cop was still farming exceptionally well, and they knew what they needed to do in team fights. They had a team built around team fights. I'm trying to see if I can get Studio in here real quick last second. And yes, there we go. So Studio, last second, get you in on some thoughts on the match if you're here on the Skype call.
I am here. Actually,
did you watch it all?
See a whole lot of the match.
Okay,
I
that's
spent a lot of time trying to get into the match.
That's fine. I was going to, I don't know, try and pull you back on, but I don't know. Thanks, guys. It was a pleasure, both of you. I'm sorry we couldn't get the TriCast going. I was really looking forward to it.
Next time.
A solid cast from what I could hear. So whatever. Next time we will set this up, man. We will do it.
I think what we need in order to make this TriCast work is we need a caster apartment lounge hangout spot where we can
Hubert's place.
Yeah, Hubert's place. There we go. That was the last word I was looking for.
Yeah. We
need one of those to set this up effectively.
Everybody, if you're watching the stream, you're invited to Barron's. Get your ticket to SF. We'll all hang out. We'll have some nachos.
All right, you're in. I've got a pool. We can come out. We'll cast by the pool, and we'll be like, yeah, this is the life. It'll be fun.
Wait, I know what city you live in. How do you have a pool in there?
It's an apartment. I'm
okay.
right along the water, actually.
Like that city? No, nobody has a pool in that city. What the hell are you doing, man?
This is completely random. We can continue this off stream. It was a pleasure. Tom, any last thoughts on the game?
No, I mean, two very impressive games from Curse. They are going to move on. TSM Evo, unfortunately, loses here, but does not get knocked out. I believe they're going to have to face Team Legion, who we saw,
Yeah,
unfortunately, fall into Team Dynamic. Is that right?
I'm actually just pulling up the client right now. There we go. I have the qualifiers up. So TSM Evo losing to Curse. Curse versus Dynamic is going to be, the next match in the round of 4, and then Orbit versus MTW, and then TSM Evo will match up against Legion, and Fornot will match up against Troopers. So a lot of cool matches. All right, quick bets. Who do you guys think? I mean, not real bets, but who do you guys think is going to make it out of? All right, we can do an off the side thing. Who do you guys think is going to make it through the qualifier?
Who's gonna qualify for San Francisco?
Yeah.
Just the 4 teams right off the bat.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see here. I think it's going to be. I'm gonna have to put my money on. We'll have Curse get through. We're gonna have Dynamic come back. We're going to have. Let's see. I need 2 teams from the top match. MTWNA is looking very, very strong, so they're definitely gonna get through. Let's throw a wild card in there. Troopers.
Oh, Troopers. That would be interesting. We'll have to see if that would work. Actually, that can't happen. So
No, that's what I thought too. I'm thinking here. I'm like, nah, that's not gonna work.
I think it's going to be Dynamic and Curse too, which means that all of a sudden, Fornot and Troopers, they're both out of it. Those will be exciting matches since Troopers, they did beat CLG and they almost beat Orbit. So I think Dynamic and Curse, and then MTW and
Legion.
Orbit is going to be tough. Like, I want to pick Orbit, but
I want Orbit too, man. I think it's all Orbit.
Orbit
That's
versus
Orbit.
TSM. You know what? I'm going to say, yeah, MTW and Orbit. So the 4 teams that are in our winners right now, I think those are my picks for getting through.
Okay, I'll go farther. Orbit, Troopers,
Oh,
MTW, and Curse.
really? You don't have Dynamic beating Troopers if they lose to Curse?
All right. Legit, not gonna say this many other times, but Dynamic people have figured out their strategy, and they're getting beat a lot lately. So
Yeah.
if they get researched to death, if they don't change up their strategy, they've been losing, and that might just keep happening.
I
And it
don't
should
know.
be interesting to see. I mean, that's one thing with Dynamic is they've always played basically the same team comp. At IPL 4 even, they just played the standard team comp, all of the basically the OP champions, and that was all they played. They played all the OP champions, but they played it to such an effective degree that it worked out really nicely for them. I don't know. One thing that whenever they lose a game, it's Nintendo has been fantastic in the jungle, but a lot of times he'll kind of have some over aggressive mistakes where he'll try and do some counter jungling or something, and then all of a sudden walk into a trap where he really shouldn't be there.
I mean, I want to say Leaguepedia. Oh,
No.
all right, Leaguepedia. It was Orbit versus Team Dynamic. The entire game for game number 2, I think the first 10 to 15 minutes, it was just Nintendo Dex trying to gank top lane, all of Orbit ready just to counter gank the entire time. So they love their aggressive ganks, and teams they play really defensively with that, going for some strong counter gank potential. And that really just kind of it hits them hard, and they need to find a backup plan for that, because when they fall through with that, when it does not work, they just get demolished.
Yeah, a little foresight into that matchup. If Troopers beats Fornot, TD likes to be aggressive, and we saw Orbit try to get aggressive on Troopers, a relatively unknown team in game number 1. I think Troopers, for the trouble that Orbit went through in the beginning of the game, Troopers got 4 kills within the first 4 minutes of the game. So if TD wants to play aggressive, and if Nintendo is going to be prone to mistakes, that could be a very devastating thing for them.
Actually, Troopers is super aggressive too, so it's going to be like 40 kills in 20 minutes in that game. It's going to be an awesome match. I want to see that match.
Shotgun casting that match so I can lose my voice.
Yeah, well, that'll definitely be really cool. Regardless, thanks guys for tuning in. We're actually going to throw up a rebroadcast, and we've had casts all day. We'll have to try and figure out which one we're throwing up. Probably the most exciting one, and but we've had a lot. It's been like 12 hours of casts almost. I guess not quite that much, but yeah, definitely a lot of fun. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. If you're interested in going to our San Francisco tournament, it's $40,000 Riot Circuit event. It's both Asian and A teams, so it's going to be a lot of fun. That's what this is for. It's the San Francisco Showdown. I like to call it the disco in the Frisco, but IGN.com/IPL, and on the right side, there's a tickets link that you can get your tickets, reserve those, come out. It should be a lot of fun. It's a really cool venue.
I mean, SF, a great city to visit in general, and I think a lot of people don't know this, but it's not just North American teams coming to this event.
Yeah, no, it's not. We're still working on exactly who's going to be here, but it's a couple of Asian invites. Hopefully, we can get the best of the best, and it can be an East versus West kind of thing.
Man, I want to see Taipei Assassins in action, man. They're good. They're so good.
Yeah, complete highlight reel whenever you see him. All right, well, to both of you, thanks for stopping on. Optimus Tom, how do people follow you on Twitter?
Well, if you have one of these newfangled Twitter devices, you can go on there and follow me at Optimus Tom and listen to all my tweets about everything I do, including complaining about work and playing Magic the Gathering. Oh, and some League of Legends stuff.
Perfect. And Studio?
You can follow me at League of Studio or go to leagueofstudio.com, where I will also complain about Optimus Tom's work and his Magic the Gathering.
All right, and I'm at Baroncast if you want to check me out. I'll actually slide over here. There you go. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out all the rest of our stuff. We're throwing out some cool videos. We always appreciate it. And everyone here is just really happy to support the community and try and get out whatever video content we can, and interviews and LOL update and everything. So again, thanks guys for tuning in. We're going to throw to a commercial break, but stay tuned if you're interested in seeing the rebroadcast for some of the matches that you may have missed.